Hi, Gregory CuDeeCakes here. Time for Zippo check. Zippo check. Yeah, Zippo's working good. Working good. Watch check. Got the beater watch on, the old Hamilton. Watch seems to be keeping time. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? Tell you what. Keith Richards once said of the album EXILE on Main Street, which was a kind of a bugger to make. I don't think it was really. I don't think it really went that smoothly. They were exiled. They were exiles on Main Street, and hence the title. But Keith Richards once said of the album EXILE on Main Street that I will argue they were hitting their stride. I mean, like when they hit, for example, when they were hitting the albums like Sticky Fingers, when they were hitting like albums like Let It Bleed, Sticky Fingers, they were still hitting their stride. And when they hit EXILE on Main Street, they were still very much hitting their stride, but they were just starting to come down. And you're still very much in the protein mid-period, okay? The protein mid-period for the Stones. And I think that they were still in their protein mid-period when they hit the last album that was done with Jimmy Miller, when they hit Goat's Head Soup, and that was the last one. But a lot of people want to say that the last album in their mid-period was EXILE on Main Street, but I don't think it was. I think it was definitely Goat's Head Soup. After Goat's Head Soup, we see Jimmy Miller not come back. We see after Goat's Head Soup, okay? After you have EXILE on Main Street, after that you have the 1972 US tour, and after that you have them going to Jamaica to make Goat's Head Soup. And after that, after Goat's Head Soup, then you see Jimmy Miller not be asked back again. After Goat's Head Soup, you see the songs like Coming Down Again, Angie, okay, which was a really big hit for them at the time, like 73, 74, right in there. That was a really big hit for them. 73, 74 was Angie. You see songs like Coming Down Again. You see a lot of people kind of not being asked back. You see the people that they were working with not really working with them anymore after that period. You see the death of Graham Parsons, okay, who was very, very close with Keith. So for these reasons, I argue that the end of that period was really after Goat's Head Soup. No doubt they were coming down again, okay? There's no doubt about that. But really the end of that period was after Goat's Head Soup, okay? That's what I would like to argue. So a lot of people argue that the end of that period was really was really immediately after Exile on Main Street. And I think I successfully argue that because they had, one of the major, actually major tours right immediately after Exile on Main Street, and because you still had the same people sort of alive and working together, that we can't really conclude that that Exile on Main Street was the end of that period. I do believe, and you look at videos and they were saying like they were very, they're very productive, they're still very busy, they're still being very productive after that Exile on Main Street. They were saying that they were even at their peak musically. I think there's a video, there's an interview with Mick Taylor, and he was saying, like right around that period they were really, some people were saying, like some of the members are saying they were musically at their peak, so I really struggle with this idea that the Stones' classic pro-teen mid-period ended with Exile on Main Street and immediately after Exile on Main Street. I do not buy that at all. And maybe it's because it was a double album, it was such a big album, and it was made in that very sort of unique way, or sort of it was made in a way in the basement of Keith's house that he was renting at Nelcott, and about, yada yada yada. People like to think, oh, that was the end, because that was so big, with the swastikas in the basement and the heroin they had to throw so Keith wouldn't use it, and they had to throw that out, throw that over the cliff. People like to think that that was the end of that era, but it really wasn't. They were still very much in that period because of the people who they were still working with, and the people such as Graham Parsons who were still alive. So I believe that period really ended after it really ended after the US tour, and after the making of Goat's Head Soup, and after Graham Parsons passed away, and after Jimmy Miller wasn't working with them anymore, was not asked back, and with Graham Parsons passing away, and after the tours that followed in 73, they were actually on tour in Europe, in Innsbruck, when at the time that Graham Parsons passed away. And then you see after that Jimmy Miller wasn't asked back. That's the end of that period. Okay, I think I can argue that successfully. But very quickly, what this video was supposed to be about is, Keith Richards once said that of Exile on Main Street, he said, look, we didn't have to make that into a double album. We didn't have to. But we decided to just put it all out. At the end of that, we just decided to put it all out and make a double album. Kind of like, what the hey? But he said, we didn't have to make that into a double album. We could have cut it in half and just released 9 songs instead of 18 songs. And at the time, it was kind of quasi-acceptable to make an album with only 9 songs. A good example of that is Let It Bleed is an awesome album. It only had 9 songs. Okay? They could have just cut that in half. He said we could have cut that in half and made it into 9 songs. So, very quickly, what do you think, if they would have cut that in half, what do you think would have been Keith's pick for 9 songs? Okay? Or what do you think would have been the 9 songs? Well, this is what I think, okay? Okay, number 1, it's not my favorite song, but Turd on the Run had to be in there. because it's Keith's favorite song. He would have had that in there for sure. You know, I imagine he would have worked a way to definitely have Turd on the Run in there. Okay, it's an obscure song, but he would have had Turd on the Run in there because he's said in interviews that it's his favorite song on the album, or one of his very favorite songs. Definitely top 5, top 3 for him on that album. So just to cut it real short, I would go with probably I'd go with Happy is gonna be in there. And what else would be in there? Tumbling Dice, Happy, Shake Your Hips, definitely All Down the Line, definitely Shine a Light, definitely gotta have Loving Cup in there, gotta have All Down the Line, gotta have Rip This Joint, okay, gotta have those in there. I think you can easily pick out 9 from that. 9 songs. What do you think would be the 9 songs? That's a good question. Okay. Alright, this is Gregory CuDeeCakes signing off. I'm out of here. Goodbye.